I swear, somewhere out there, even Sargeras is going like,
Even my burning legion can do this most damage.
Hi, what's up beautiful people? Jack here, and welcome to the Chill Zone, the channel for a guy who gets way too passionate about things so that you don't have to. And yes, you are beautiful, and let nobody else tell you otherwise. Okay? Okay. So, with that said though, you saw the title for today's video, and we are going to be talking about the closest thing to hell on earth, the video game industry. Now, this is not something that I often do on this channel, but I thought that this time what's going on is very important to cover. For while there is another giant out there that most definitely deserves to be tackled since it decided to go full to infinity and beyond stupid, we are going to save this gauntlet for another one who is way more deserving of a snap. I'm talking about Blizzard Entertainment. Oh, what an intro, gives me chills every time. Well, presuming that you clicked on this title while knowing of what Blizzard is, I know that some of my subscribers are still some World of Warcraft fans and some new may be so, but I will not bore you with a complete history of what Blizzard has gone through, but I would like to take just a little trip through memory lane, for I freaking love Blizzard. The name was synonymous with hits like StarCraft and its sequels, a game that, well, took over the world and was launched into interstellar space once it reached Asia. Of course, you also had the likes of the Diablo franchise, a game so grimdark that it would calm the most radical of Warhammer fans. I love you guys, shout out to you all. This one, of course, went through a tumultuous journey where, after 11 long years, its fans were greeted with the equivalent of what can only be compared to like Half-Life 3. But like a troll, the famous Error 37. And afterwards came the... Oh, no. We'll save that for later, it's just too good. We had such things as the world phenomenon Overwatch, the once Twitch favorite Hearthstone, Heroes of the... Look, I'm not making fun of your game, okay? It just was not on my radar, so that's all there is to it. Well, these were great, but none of them did really compare to the Golden Goose. Born from the toil of Warcraft 3 peasants.
Job's done.
Raid of Chaos was awesome! 2004 gave birth to the massively multiplayer online role-playing game to rule them all. World of Warcraft.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Half of the hypes of WoW and its expansion were just based on the cinematics alone, let's just admit that. WoW was a cultural phenomenon beyond compare. Like, whenever a new game would come out and it was said to be an MMORPG, and you will hear those out there on the net just saying, oh, is this the new WoW killer? Like, WoW player would just put on some illegally downloaded version of Avengers Sevenfold's Hail to the King and be like, come again? WoW was massive. For look, I've never tried drugs in my life, recreational or whatever sort. I don't even drink, or I even try to stay away from sugar. Because that shit is dangerous, man. None can be compared to the sweet distilled nectars of getting those honor kills. WoW was a drug. One that was hard to give up.
When it comes out, man, I'm just gonna non-stop.
Easy there, big guy.
I'm sorry for my girlfriend.
It was bad, man. Sorry, mom and dad, for those few months in middle school where... So what essentially happened was that I had this 200 gig portable hard disk where I had installed WoW and Battle.net on, and I would sneak during the breaks away from school and come back home to use my dad's portable workstation, like an old Toshiba one, but it was a beast of a machine that allowed me to play the game at about 50 FPS, and it was glorious, man. It was so beautiful. But like, we had a parent-student consultation where the teachers were like wondering what the hell I was, and having to explain that, telling my dad that no, I never touched your PC, man. Warm. No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. You must have left it charging or something. I was dumb. And it was like right at the end of Wrath of the Lich Kings 2, so you know that the game was hard at that point. WoW had a special thing about it. Like me that go and break through the mainstream, there was not really a limit to how good and or bad things could actually get with it. Like online you will hear about countless of relationships being created, people from all over the world gathering, people celebrating their weddings on WoW like it was crazy, some having to take on funeral for friends that they had lost. It was an amazing endeavor. For my personal anecdote, as I was going to high school, I was doing track and field, and some of my friends once came one day and they asked me for a weekend that I was planning to go to some friends, and they were like, so are you going to go and be with those cavemen dwellers over there? And I was like, well, good sir, of course I am. I don't know, for some reason I turned British doing this one. I might just do that. Like this fair gentleman invited me to the LAN party. Magnus's mom is cooking for us. Matthew is in charge of bringing the Mountain Dew, and Oscar has the chip and dip. We're going to be raiding all weekend and watching bad movies. Do you want to join? And guess what the answer was? Obviously, fuck yeah, they wanted to come. Before all the hype on social media, WoW was the shit. That was where we were gathering after school, before school, and most of the time, people were connected through a way that was not seen before. And even if you were one of those poor souls who unfortunately did not have friends IRL, you knew for certain that not just one but millions of individuals out there were doing the same exact thing that you were doing. So you weren't alone. Well, you were alone, but fuck. Like when a big dick paladin named Truesdale from a guild called Jesus Christ, yes, we did that. We log onto the game to get the daily satisfaction of pwning some news, and somebody will be spamming in the old chat. We've reached 13 million players. It was pure bliss, but that lasted until the balance. For Blizzard had a bunch of issues already at this point, internally and with the community of course. We had the whole content ID controversy, which caused the game a meltdown when it was said that Blizzard were to take away some of the anonymity from its forums, and of course implement the real IDs. That would suck. People like to maintain their secrecy online, and in a time where we now are constantly trying to find better ways to keep our privacy using VPN and whatnot, that was such a wrong move to imply, because people are coming to these games to live something new, to escape a bit of the mundane, you know? And the thing is, whatever it is that you see with fans sending death threats nowadays, it already happened back then, and it was obviously awful. But for Blizzard wasn't really doing themselves a favor by continuously creating a wedge between its workers, and, well, the company itself was going awry. We can skip such things as the Valve situation, the Riot one. I mean, could you imagine if Blizzard actually was spearheaded in the MOBA genre? God damn. Now, we can skip all that just to end up in what statistically ruined WoW. Mist of Pandaria. Yes, there were doubts in Cataclysm, but Mist seemed to be the one that kind of broke the camel's back, although it's not an opinion that I do share, but the statistics speak for themselves. But Mob was good. Like all the previous expansion, this one obviously had its fault, its mistakes, its degeneracy, but it had nothing to do with the oh so hated pandas at all. I mean, we have dealt with the hero classes such as the Death Knights before, or the whole Paladin and such during Burning Crusade. Like, were you going to be thrown trash at the characters? No. Like, are you kidding me? When came 5.1, most of the issues that this expansion had started with were mostly resolved. The inclusion of a bettered reputational farming, so to improve the daily questing, which was super important during that expansion because it suddenly became account-wide, which was super nice. The item upgrades that we know nowadays, which at the time was experimental but worked wonderfully. The Brawlers Guild. Oh my god, the Brawlers Guild. Oh, okay, I need to compose myself there. The Mist of Pandaria soundtrack was dope. Sorry, I found out that the thing was on Spotify. No, for me this wasn't it. By the way, Garage did nothing wrong. The thing that broke the camel's back for me was most definitely Warlords of Draenor. The most useless expansion that we've ever had. It literally added nothing to the game. What were the devs thinking? We need a setup for Legion. Just make Legion! This was the equivalent to an anime filler arc. A whole arc, not an episode, a whole arc. Who thought that that was smart? Now, I won't be dwelling on Legion for this video, maybe turning into everything great about Legion. So let's skip instead to the spicy stuff. 2018. By this time, WoW was about half of what it used to be. And players really started to notice that when some of their favorite players started leaving. Fortunately though, still were some that remained, that had made it into their livelihood and that had created a special bond with the community. You have the likes of Noble87, one with a much more smoother accent than my own, contributing at a time with like a weekly amount of lore that was just satisfactory. You have Bellular Gaming providing you on the updates on the patches and how to use your add-ons most effectively, and Nixium, who kept the whole shtick of the machinima humor going on at all times and kept us all joyful. And of course you had the king of the neckbeards himself, Asmongold. I unfortunately, unlike many, only came to learn about him a bit close to the end of Warlords of Draenor, because at the time, as his namesake, he was making these gold farming guides that could help anybody to become a true actioneer. And as somebody like a Pokemon master who has set himself the goal to catch all the achievements, I could respect that. But Asmon did way more than just that. While I know that a lot of people in the very beginning were not huge fan of him, especially because of his, kind of lack of charisma in the beginning, he somehow managed to rekindle a flame that felt kind of lost, giving players back a sense of community that wasn't there. And I know I'm sounding super dramatic at the moment, but it is true. If he streamed, he would bring players together to not just partake in in-game designated activities like raiding and achievement farming, but also content that in the last 4 years have grown extensively. The likes of the transmog competitions, which, by the way, EU is still better than North America. Fight me over that. Or the Mount of competition. And he had a mentality of making a stream enjoyable to listen to. Something that is very rare, you know. Although you're streaming, some may focus a lot on the visual, but as soon as you achieve the point where you can just leave something in the background and people are still listening to you, you've picked, my man. And he created a type of content that was enjoyable for a broader audience and not just for the individual game. So to shorten it, WoW was surviving on these very players. These driving forces who kept the community going, while the video game company themselves did not do much. But in what concerned the company at the time, they were getting more and more out of touch from their audiences, especially when they decided to focus on mobile games.
Hello, BlizzCon! Our mobile devices keep us closer than ever. Sorry.
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
I swear, somewhere out there, even Sargeras is going like,
Even my burning legion can do this most damage.
be it by being completely disillusioned on what they thought that the players were expecting from them,
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
Everyone's got a
phones,
phone.
right?
or by also just censoring their top players. With the stunt that Blizzard pulled on BlizzCon 2018, it was a self-inflicted wound and one that was festering. And it was getting even more aggravated with what one of the Masters of Evil decided to do afterwards. Now I know the Activision Blizzard merger is not a new one, it's something that occurred a long time ago, as old as the old gods themselves. What was it, 28, 27? Yet, like that sus Among Us players We only realized how screwed we were until it was too late. Activision, the company that once spearheaded video game cartridges, had under a new leadership turned into something really scummy. The infamous Bobby Kotick, well known for being one of America's most overpaid CEOs, well, at least in contrast to his workers, his employees, decided to lay off hundreds upon hundreds of workers just to give himself a bonus. The man who, in his full hubris, claimed to know exactly what the players were expecting, like, you don't want that, trust me, you think you do, but you don't, laid off hundreds of workers just to rehire some others. It wasn't one of those, oh, they're getting extra bonuses and we don't want to pay them extra. No, this dick just decided to lay off some people just like that. And it really must suck. I mean, being a developer isn't easy, and I think that most of us already have a lot of respect for what they do. As someone who once desired to be like one of them and work in that industry, I can only imagine how it must suck to have to develop a game around a supposed player that strictly follows a set of rules established from the metric that were given to you by a higher up to just work with. Now, Kotick, while being a CEO whose job is obviously to make the company's money, was known for not ever having touched a joystick in his life. He didn't care about video games, and I do believe, while I know some may argue about it, that if you have to work within the video game industry, at least you should have just a teeny tiny bit of interest in what you're dealing with. But I digress. Him firing these hundreds of people was definitely bad. But where the situation gets even more scummier if you take a look back in 2010. Get this, in 2010, John West and Vince Zampella, who had co-created the Call of Duty games and had made millions, billions even, of dollars for Activision, were fired from the company. Why? Because these guys were refused to pay for the royalties that they were owed. So, obviously, they sued Activision, and there was a countersuit, of course, from Activision for, I believe, a sum of $2 billion. I put the actual number on screen. The thing about it was that during this lawsuit and the whole them dispute of how to settle it, because it did end up with a settlement of an undisclosed amount, there was a case in which Activision Blizzard did make an attempt of triggering a fire drill with the sole attempt of getting into their computers and finding out what dirt they had on them. Imagine that! There will be a link of the LA Times reporter who was covering the whole shebang at the time in the description below. Check it out. There's actually an audio of it, so you don't have to read through the entire thing. So Blizzard had antagonized the fan base, the employees, and obviously the competitors. So how low could they go? Well, turns out a lot lower than that. For with January 2021, we saw WoW truly plummet. What was left of the tasty magic cake that we had all tasted, well, it was thrown on the ground and we all had to face reality. That of WoW finally being on its deathbed. Super Data at the time had revealed a massive fall in subscription numbers and the earnings obviously. But of course Blizzard would not bat an eye at those things. They already earned quite a lot from the microtransactions and not from the subscriptions themselves, you know, when you're bound to play for 6 months and upon all that still pay money. What the hell? How did they get away with this? Even the seasonality of WoW, where players would come in the first few months and then jump boat soon after, had finally caught up to them. But if only there was a method, a catalyst that could enhance the process and make it go faster. Enter Final Fantasy XIV Online. When people were screaming, WoW killer this, WoW killer that, I would have never imagined that it would come from Final Fantasy. I mean, it does have the aesthetic, it does have the allure, the charm, but What in the hell is happening in Final Fantasy? I don't get it. I've always imagined it to be a very niche game and not something that would appeal to everybody unless you were really like a J fan of JRPGs and such. But hell no, I thought wrong, because this game was so good that even those who were so adamant into hating the fluffy pandas of Mist of Pandarias migrated all over to Final Fantasy, leaving the barren wasteland of WoW behind. Blizzard had alienated its fans, ignoring their demands, not producing content for more than a semester, locking stuff behind extreme grinds, and it even got to a certain point where it felt as if they were trying to get rid of even the GMs so that no complaint would ever reach them. And the striking blow was obviously that of the competitors finally getting the golden goose, Asmongold, one of the biggest pillars of the community, to migrate over to actually start playing the game. And it was glorious. On his first stream, oh boy did he kill it. The stream had some 1.4 million hours watched, and the earnings were also pretty damn good. Like, Asmon reached a level of Twitch ethos, and it was wonderful. And I am so happy for the guy to get into something new, to get him to enjoy something instead of constantly being mad over the fact that WoW is not progressing. And while most of the FF14 community took him with open arms and were super happy to have him around, some wanted to voice their opinion on what they thought of Asmon just to spark some controversy, because that's usually how things goes. A self-declared abomination. I don't even want to read all the description. Person who wanted to wrestle with Asmongold for things that he had never done, false claims, and of course somebody in-house for Blizzard, a dev, could not help himself but to set fuel to the fire, coming forth and calling Asmongold an asshole.
What the fuck?
Truly having the high ground here. Could it be somebody who had a terrible transmog and got kicked out of the competition earlier? It could be. People are salty as all hell, we never know. But what we do know is that the asshole was in fact the developer. And as the whole situation trickled down to 4chan, where it kept on just fueling upon, and the situation got mad. And it really was something that Blizzard really did not need. Or that would be the viewpoint. I personally enjoyed it. And now, after many years of neglect, Activision Blizzard is now seeing the fruit of their labors. The WoW disappointment is immeasurable. It really sucks. There's a mass exodus going on towards Final Fantasy XIV, and I think it's for the better. And it's absolutely crazy, because usually when an MMO experiences a growth like this, it's usually tied to an expansion coming out, but no, this was not the case. People finally opened their eyes to how bad Blizzard has been for years. And all of this is of course just helped by the fact that Final Fantasy XIV is generally just a damn fine MMO for what I've seen so far. And the community, while having a reputation from others, is one of the best out there. So Blizzard is dying out, and hopefully does so sooner. Or else they want to reboot WoW somehow, which I don't think that they can do. They've completely wasted the opportunity that they've ever could have done. And of course it's sad to see a game that you have spent more than 10 years on creating such fond memories about just trickle down to all hell. It's disheartening, but it is the natural end of it. No one was after Blizzard, truly. They brought this upon themselves, and yeah, that is it for them. And that is also it for this video, this stupid rant of mine that I went on just to complain over the fact that they could not even treat their best streamer well. That is quite unfortunate. But guys, what are your views on the current World of Warcraft situation? If you're a WoW player, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your opinion. I could reply to it. We could have a nice conversation. Some of you are also always welcome to hit me up on the social medias, Instagram. That's pretty much the only one that I have yet. I should open a Discord or something. Yeah, should probably do that. But with that said though, hopefully you liked the video and leave a like. Of course, it helps the channel quite a lot. And if you want to see more of my stuff, click right here. And I wish you all a wonderful evening and see you guys next time. Bye.